Hello.
Hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes? Wonderful. Thank you. My name is Eloise, and I'm the Online Services and Practitioner Engagement Manager for the CAA's ECMS project. Can I just begin by asking everybody to please mute your microphone if you haven't already? There'll just be a button at the bottom of your screen. It's a black circle with a white microphone through it. Just press that, and then that will mean you don't have any feedback. All right, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's everybody's lunch break, so I'm very grateful that you've taken the time to spend with us. Also on the line today, and you'll be able to see over my shoulder here, is my colleague Lorena De Palma. Lorena and I work for the Online Services and Practitioner Engagement team, and we're doing a series of lunchtime sessions to explain how QSA works. I might just mute some people as we go, so I apologise if I do. If you do have a question as we're going through this session, please ask it in the chat feature. You'll see that at the bottom of your screen. It's just a circle with a speech bubble in it. Just press that and you'll be able to chat either directly to me or to everybody on the line. I'll answer your questions as we go, and if I'm not able to answer them, we'll get back to you when we can. We're going to do a demonstration of Court SA today. We'll be walking through the functionality of how to lodge a case, defend it, lodge something else, and any questions you may have in general. I just want to caveat before we begin that I'm not able to answer any questions on the rules, so if you do have any rules questions, please email them to the Ethics and Practice team at the Law Society. They'll be able to raise them with the Joint Rules Advisory Committee. All right, with all of that out of the way, what I'm going to do now is share my screen so that you can see what Court SA looks like. Now, you can see here, this is what Court SA will look like. If you've had the opportunity, and I strongly encourage everybody to, please look at the practice site that was sent out last week. It's a way and a place for you to have a go at lodging your own cases and become familiar with Court SA. It's not real. Nothing that you go in there will end up on a real case. All the data gets cleaned every 2 weeks, so don't worry about messing up. It's just a way for you to become familiar and comfortable when this launches next week. With that said, once you have created your real account and joined Court SA, I'm going to assume that most people here are members of a law firm or an organisation and have been invited to join their law firm account. If you're not, and you might be a law firm administrator, you will need to create your account for your firm, and your firm will then invite each individual user. I'll just ask everybody again, if you can please mute your microphones, just there's a little bit of feedback and that's a little bit distracting. Thank you so much. So assuming that you are all members of a law firm, and you don't have to be a lawyer, you just have to be someone within your organisation, you can get a Court SA account and you can lodge. We'll be going through accounts in more detail tomorrow if you are an administrator or you're interested in what the difference between an administrator and a law firm user is, so we encourage you to come to that session. We're also going to be going through more information about the Help Centre just here in sessions on Thursday. And on Friday, we're going to be doing a Q&A. If you have registered for that Q&A or would like to come, please send us any questions you have in advance. We're not preparing anything to present. We're just going to be answering questions that are asked of us. So if there aren't any questions, it's going to be a very short session. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get into actually using Court SA. As I said, we'll assume that we're a lawyer and that we or someone in an organisation and you've been invited to join. Once you log in, you'll come to this homepage. And this is really like your dashboard. It's got all the information that you'll need to use in order to navigate your way around. The first question that we ask is, what would you like to do? You'll see straight away that if you're not sure if what you want to do can be done on Court SA, you can click the link and it will take you to a list in our Help Centre, which we'll go through more on Thursday, of all of the things that you can't do using Court SA. So I recommend that you familiarise yourself with this page. It may even be one that you want to bookmark. As things change and develop, we will be updating this page. So once we go live and more things become available or we become aware of things, they will get communicated through this page. If what you want to do is something you can do online, there's a few things that you can select from this initial drop-down. Obviously, you're able to start a case and view my cases. By clicking View My Cases, you go to the same link up here. If you'd like to lodge a document on a case, we've included this here just to provide you some information on how to do that. But all lodgements on a case need to be done specifically to that case. So they can't be done from this page, but we can explain how to do it if you'd like more information here. You're also able to request access to a case. If you're acting for the respondent or you're taking over conduct of a case, you need to request access to it in order for it to appear in your list of cases. If your organisation has requested a list of cases in advance of Court SA launching, our intention is to make all of those cases available when the system launches on Monday. We're still working out some finer details, but we'll let you know if and when those cases are available so that you can start lodging and looking around. You're also able to do some other things, but I won't go into too much detail for those today. If you play on the practice site, you'll be very quickly become aware of everything that you can do. We'll start by starting a new case. The way that this site has been structured and how the information is presented is based on a lot of user testing that we did. We worked with your colleagues as well as self-represented litigants to find out exactly what people needed to know and when. One of the difficult things that we found were people didn't know what type of case they wanted to start. As we move into this online world and away from paper, there are some changes. Particularly when people start to use it, we think this will be a really helpful option. If you don't know what type of case you want to start, I'm going to start a debt claim today, but I might not know that. Straight away, we have the list of the most commonly lodged types of cases, as well as a when to use these. This is just to help you select the correct option in the smart form, because the option that you pick will determine what forms are generated by Court SA and what questions you're asked. If my cause of action isn't in this list, because I might want to do something a little bit more obscure, I'm able to see the complete list of types of cases that I can start and how to do them. I won't go into this in great detail because we'll cover it more on Thursday, but just be aware that this is also a page that might be really important for you, because this is how the court and the registry define each of these particular causes of action. So we'll say that today I want to do a debt dispute, and I can see that that's when someone owes you money, and in order to do that, I go to the claim, select my court, and then as the main claim type, select debt recovery. So let's have a go at doing that. I can go straight from here to the claim form if I'd like, but I want to show you the instructions before we get there. Let's say that I do know what I want to do, and I do know the type of case that I want to start. These are all of the different types of cases that you can initiate using Court SA. For those who practice in probate, you'll be familiar with these options. We've changed those blue buttons on the homepage just to make it easier to find exactly what you're looking for now that we have a longer list.
Oh, wait.
See that these are all listed in alphabetical order, so I just encourage you to make sure you select the correct option, because particularly for originating applications, there's a few different smart forms that you can pick from. We'll have a look at the claim today. And whenever I select one of these options, we'll just ask everybody again, if you can please mute your microphones, that would be much appreciated. Thank you. In the instructions, you can see when to use the form. It also lets me know that I can save it as a draft and finish it later. And importantly, it lets me know when I can't use it. You're not able to lodge things on Court SA if the respondent or an interested party has address outside of Australia or New Zealand. If they do, you'll just need to do that at the counter like you currently do. All of the instructions will let me know what I need, as well as any supporting documents, the cost, and quite helpfully, what happens after I submit the form. You'll see in this example, when you submit a claim, it will be automatically approved for filing, and you will see an email from Court SA with information about what happens next, except if you happen to be in the District and Supreme Courts and are self-represented or lodging a victims of crime case. As I said, these instructions are at the beginning of each form, and I think they're really helpful if you'd want to have a look through the practice site, just to understand what happens and what the court's review and approval process is. When you're ready, you can begin. And we now get taken to the online form. We've tried to identify at the top of each form whether something is an online version of something or if it's used for uploading. In this case, the claim is both. Based on the data that I enter into this smart form, the system is going to produce one of the Form 1s for me, depending on my type of case. Because I'm doing debt, it's going to produce a Form 1, and I have the option of uploading my Form 1S statement of claim if I choose and in accordance with the rules. You'll see when we get to the bottom how you're able to do that. The first question that's asked in all initiating lodgements is if you're a lawyer. The reason that we ask this is because under the new rules, you need to identify who the responsible solicitor on the case is. Now, one of the questions that we frequently get is, what do I do if I'm doing data entry for a lawyer? Well, in that case, you're just able to select that, yes, you are a lawyer, and then just put in the P code of the responsible solicitor. So the responsible solicitor themselves doesn't have to do this data entry. It can be done by somebody else. Just need to put their details in here. You can see that I entered my name rather than putting my P code in because I can't remember it, even though it's very simple. And the system has taken that information from the Law Society's list of P codes that they send to us and confirmed that my name is this, my firm is this, and most importantly, this is my email address. What will happen now is that any notification generated by Court SA on this case is going to get sent to this email address. So not necessarily the email address that I'm using to lodge. Say, for example, I'm doing data entry on behalf of Eloise. I'm able to do all of the data entry and then put in Eloise's P code. In the same way, as I'll show you, I can enter Lorena's P code. So if I was doing data entry for Lorena, I can put in her P code, and then Lorena will receive all of the case notifications. What's important to note here is that if you are doing data entry for somebody else and you provide their P code, the notifications will go to them, but the case will appear in your list of cases. So because I'm lodging this using my account, but I've entered Lorena's P code, I'm going to see this case in my list of cases, Lorena's not. I'm going to need my law firm administrator to grant her access to it. For more information about that, we'll be covering it in a lot of detail tomorrow. Then based on the information and the way that I answer these questions, these fields will be entered into the form that the system's going to generate for me. We have a lot of help text as we go. I should say this is all in draft, so please don't take it as gospel. It's in the process of being reviewed. But we do have help text throughout the form just to give you some guidance on completing the answers. In the same way, we tend to have help text underneath the questions. So if you're ever a little bit stumped, please just have a look and see if there's any guidance information that can help you answer the question. Based on the jurisdiction that you pick, you will be given different options for causes of action. If I were to select Magistrates Court, I then need to select my hearing location. For those of you who've used Registry Online, you will know that by default, first hearings are held in at the Adelaide Magistrates Court. That's no longer the case. You're now able to select your hearing location, and again, you need to select it in accordance with this help text. So please, as you're going through the forms, just read the help text as you go. I know from a lot of usability testing that we've done that nobody reads the help text, but please do. Once you've selected the hearing location, it will appear here for you, so you can double check that you've selected the right one. You're then asked to select your main claim type. In the current world, you're able to select more than one cause of action on the form. So for example, you could do debt, consumer law, and contract. You can't do that in a Court SA online world. You can only select the main claim type. Now, main claim type is not defined in the rules, but there is more information if you are unsure of what to select. We can just go back to that list of cases, and then pick the one that's most appropriate to us. If you would like to plead more than one cause of action, you're able to do that in your statement of claim, but you can't do it at this point in time. So I'm able to say that my main claim type is debt recovery, but then in my statement of claim, I can also include consumer and contract. A lot of the language is written in the first person. So we say, what type of party are you? And that's based on user testing, particularly the self-represented litigants found it a little bit confusing. So when we say what type of party are you, we're referring to your client, not to you. There's three different options that you can select: individual, organisation, or regular party. If you are a regular party or your client is a regular party, they will know, and you will have a regular party code that's been given to you by the court. If you don't know, chances are they're not. You can then select whether they're an individual or an organisation. And based on the option that you pick, you'll be given different fields to fill in. All of the fields with an asterisk are required. So I can go ahead now. And I'm able to move between each of these fields by either clicking on them or tabbing. And depending on how I answer the questions, different fields will appear. If I would like to add more than one applicant, I'm able to do that by just selecting the Add button. If I've done this by mistake and I don't actually have more than one applicant, just go to the minus sign over here and that will delete that other applicant for you. At this point, we ask if you've got any respondents outside Australia or New Zealand. The reason for this is, as I said earlier, if they are outside of Australia or New Zealand, you'll need to lodge over the counter. So if I were to select yes to that, I'm not able to proceed. I'll say no for today, and I can select my respondent's details. Now I have to check as I'm going that I spell everything correctly because the system won't pick up spelling mistakes for me. It's underlining De Palma because Google, my extension that I'm using, Chrome, has identified that, but the system won't give me an error if I were to spell my name or the applicant's name or the respondent's name wrong. In fields where you enter an address, you can just start typing the address. If you've practiced in probate, you'll be familiar that you had to put the suburb before the address. You don't have to do that for civil. We do now have a plugin for address pickers. So just go down to the address that you would like and select it, and then it will appear here for you to double check. If the address you're looking for isn't in that address picker, because it might be a lot or some location that's not in the system, you're able to manually enter it into here. I'm going to say that I do know the address. And if you would like the sheriff to serve the claim on the respondent, you can select that option here, and any fees associated with that service are going to get added onto your lodgement total when you proceed. I'll say no. In the same way as adding another applicant, I can add another respondent. And now I'm at the point where I enter the details about my claim. The three options that you can pick. I'm going to say an amount of money today. If you would like to see this in more detail, please go to the practice site and have a go at lodging some practice cases. The way that you answer these questions will depend on the rules and your type of case. So there's not a lot of helpful guidance at this point, just because it is very rule specific. I'm going to say that the amount that I am claiming is less than $12,000 because I want this to be a minor civil claim. I'm then able to either enter the details or upload the statement of claim. If I wanted to enter the details of my claim, I can just enter a 100-word summary. And again, whether I can enter my details or upload a statement of claim will depend on the rules. I'm going to upload my statement of claim today, because I imagine in most cases that's what you'll be doing. Over here, it just tells me a little bit about the statement of claim, and it also sends me to a link where I can download that particular document. So all of the forms that I need if I'm uploading something are available on the CAA website. If I wanted a Form 1S statement of claim, all I need to do is download it from here. Then I can complete it in the same way that I normally would. So draft it, have it settled by council, and then when I'm ready, I just need to print it and sign it and scan it back into the system. Then I can go back to my form and choose my file. Here's a Form 1S that I've prepared earlier. Then again, based on how I answer the questions, the system will interpret that data. We have a little warning before you proceed, just to double check what you've entered, because again, it's not going to check if it's wrong. You could have uploaded a Chinese menu instead of your statement of claim. When you're ready, just click I have. On the forms, there is the option to print the page, and that may be because you want to have it settled by somebody else or them to have a look at before you actually lodge it. Just bear in mind that what will be printed is not the final court-generated form, because that will not get made until you actually proceed. What you can print at this point is a screenshot. So the team have worked to try and make this a little bit nicer. Again, if you're in probate, you know that it was printing just again and again and again. It's now nicely formatted so you can have a look at it. But this is not the Form 1 that's going to be generated by the system. It's just the screen in front of me. If I would like, I can actually save this and come back to it later. I'm only able to save the initiating lodgements. I can't save anything after I have created my case. So you can't save affidavits, interlocutory applications, defences, etc. The reasoning for that is most of those are done by uploading a form, so there's not a lot of data that needs to be completed. Once I've saved it, I just need to keep reference to this submission number. And that's because at this point, the case hasn't been given the title of Burge v. De Palma. It's because it hasn't been created. So I just have a reference number to know that that particular one is case 5006. If you're in a law firm, you can actually see the draft submissions of others in your firm. So if I were to be lodging this on behalf of Lorena and I wanted her to check it over before I proceeded, she would be able to log in and see 5006. I'll actually just double check that. I know the account administrator can see case 5006. We'll double check if other people in the organisation can. When I'm ready, I can just select that case again and it will take me back to it. This time round it's called e-filing detail, and that's just another way that the system's calling it a draft. When I'm ready, I can go down to the bottom and I can proceed. What will happen now is because this particular lodgement has a fee associated with it, it's got added to my cart. Those of you who do any online shopping will know that before you pay for something, you just add it to your cart. That's the same process here. If you do something that doesn't have a fee associated with it, it will go straight to being lodged when you press that proceed button. And we've still got my reference number here, number 5006. So I'm now able to pay for this. If I'd like to have many things in my cart, I'm able to do that as well and pay for them at once. I'll just pay for 5006 today. You will need a credit or a debit card for a Visa or a MasterCard at this point. There's no other way to pay for something on Court SA. When you're ready, just press proceed and you'll be taken to the payment gateway. And then you just need to enter the credit card details. Now, Court SA doesn't store any credit card details. These credit card details have been stored for me by Chrome because I can never remember them. And so, don't like these things, I get them wrong. Then you will just proceed. Once you have completed this payment step, you will get an email notification confirming that your claim has been lodged. So again, because I put Lorena's P code in, that notification is going to go to her. I don't get that notification. But I can see that it's been lodged. Now, that notification has been written, again, based on a lot of usability testing that we've done. The purpose of the notifications is to let you know what has happened and what you need to do next. So in the claim, it will say that your claim has been received and sealed and is available on Court SA, and it will also tell you the things that you need to do next. So if I now go to my cases, I can see this was that case 5006 or whatever it was. I've already forgotten, I didn't write it down. I apologise that all my cases, so me and Lorena, they're the ones then the team knows not to delete. I can now go and have a look at the case. And this is effectively the electronic court file. The summary tab gives you an overview of the case. It's got my case number, jurisdiction, type of case, and any hearings that are upcoming. This little effectively post-it note in the top right-hand corner is really helpful to let you know about things that are upcoming on the case. It's only got hearing dates though. From this summary, I can also see the parties. So I know that Eloise is represented by Lorena and that the respondent is self-represented. I can also see that it's a claim for debt recovery, and if I click the more information, I can see the actual quantum of the case, as well as if any defences have been filed. I want to draw your attention now to this Actions button. This is where everything on the case is done. All of the lodgements will be able to be done straight from here, so this is really where you're going to live. What you're able to do on the case will depend on your role, the point in time, and the type of case. This first option is to lodge a pleading. Now, I'm not able to lodge any pleadings as the applicant because the respondent hasn't yet done her defence. Once she does, I will be able to lodge a reply. I can also do these other things. These ones aren't time barred right now, so I can do an affidavit. We've also tried to provide help text under each of these to say what prescribed form it is the online version of or to upload. If you're doing an affidavit, you can see that it's to upload forms 10, 12, 42, etc. You can also request an interlocutory application and some other things from this button. Just continue to show you around before we actually lodge something else. The Documents tab contains all of the documents on the case. This is the claim that I filed a moment ago. I just click on it and it will download for me. I'm able to open it. And this whole document has been generated by the system based on the data that I inputted. If any of you have precedent providers that do similar things, basically just pulling all of the information about the case and creating my court document for me. It's given me a case number as well as the date, my document number and a seal. It's calculated the amount claimed based on the rules. It's filled in all of the party information. And based on the data that I entered, it's selected certain options. So I didn't select share of service, so that's been left blank. I completed the pre-action steps, so they've been checked. It's also bundled together and created some additional documents for me. It's made the multilingual notice, and it has also appended the statement of claim that I uploaded. See, this is my statement of claim that I prepared earlier. I've just filled it out, had it settled, and then scanned it and uploaded it. And the multilingual notices are all there for me, so I don't have to worry about getting them. What I can do now is, if I would like to, I can download it and save it to my desktop or somewhere else, or I can print it, and then I'm able to serve it on the respondent. If we go back to the case, we'll see that there's a hearings tab. Because no hearings have been scheduled and none heard, this is blank at the moment. The same for the enforcements. If you would like to enforce any judgments, you will do it from here, not that summary screen that we looked at earlier. We're not planning on going into enforcements right now, but if anybody does have any questions about enforcements, please let us know. I'm going to go back to my cases now, and I'll lodge an affidavit while I'm at it, so you can see what that looks like. So again, every lodgement has to be done to the case. So I'm in the particular case that I want, and I then go to lodge an affidavit. As with the claim, the text at the top of the form lets me know what I can upload. There's also the options to download any of these forms in case I haven't done that yet. And it tells me what's going to happen next. So my affidavit's going to be automatically approved, and I will receive a notification letting me know what happens next. Again, this notification is going to go to Lorena, not me. When I'm ready, I can proceed. And there's some helpful information here that's been prepared in association with the judiciary to help me select the right affidavit. I'll do an affidavit of facts today. And it already knows that I'm lodging it on behalf of the applicant, so I don't need to change that. Then I just need to put in the deponent's name and the date of the affidavit. If your affidavit is more than 20 megabytes, you'll need to split it up into individual volumes. That's because each upload can't be more than 20 megabytes. Once the system's gone live, if it turns out that that's too small, it can easily be made larger, but we think that that will be okay. I've done a test and I think 20 megs was still bigger than the entire Corporations Act. If you would like to do it in multiple volumes, just number each individually, and then when it comes time to upload them, you just need to say what the volume number is, and you can add multiple volumes. Just bear in mind that the total upload size per smart form is 200 megabytes. So if you're uploading 10 things to the form that are 200 megabytes each, that's going to be the limit. I'm going to say that my affidavit is less than 20 megabytes today, and I will upload it. And again, in the same way as my statement of claim, I've completed this affidavit, printed it, had it witnessed and signed, scanned, and now I'm uploading it again. And I can see that my submission has been lodged. I'm able to go straight back to my case. And again, Lorena will have got a notification letting her know that she can access it. If I go to my documents, there's my affidavit. It took the information that I put. So I said that the deponent was Eloise Burge and that the date it was sworn was the 11th of May. All of the documents you'll notice just have generic names. So it doesn't matter what you call your actual file that you upload. The system will just rename the document for you based on the type that you select. Then go and have a look at my affidavit. And again, the system has given it the case number, as well as the date filed and the FTN, and it's stamped it. I haven't filled this one in, so there's nothing there to see, but you will see that the formatting becomes quite important when you're uploading prescribed forms. The system is going to fill in these particular details, and if this box is not in the right place, they're not going to be in the right place. So if you are working from a prescribed form, please don't change the margins. I'm going to go back now and do an interlocutory application on this case as well. So again, I can just select request, an interlocutory application. If you would like some help on how to do each of these things, so for example, you would like to do an interlocutory application, but you don't know what buttons to select to get there, the Help Centre will tell you everything you need to know. There is an entire section on lodging prescribed forms. So you can just go Control F, which is search in the page, search for interlocutory, spell it right, and you'll see that a Form 77 interlocutory application is done by going to My Cases, click View Case, Actions, Request or Add an interlocutory application, which is the process that I've done to get here. As always, it tells me when I should use it and what I'll need, and that after I submit the form, and Lorena will receive an email confirming that it's been received. If it's approved, either a decision will be made in chambers or it will be listed for hearing. If it's rejected, I'll get an email letting me know why. When you're ready, just fill in the form. If your particular option isn't within this drop-down, just select Other. If you would like to do an ex parte application, just select I would like to lodge this as an ex parte application.
No, I just left it open because somebody delivered a box.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to, everybody please turn off their microphone.
Take a break from what I'm doing for Joanne.
Okay. Sorry, just a reminder, can everybody please mute their microphones? Thanks so much. You just need to provide the reasons for your application being ex parte. If it's not, we'll just proceed. Enter the details. And when it comes to putting in any orders in an application, please enter them following these instructions. So list the exact orders in separately numbered paragraphs. So I'll just need to do 1, something, 2, something else. The system unfortunately won't put in the formatting for you, so you'll just need to do the enters each line for yourself. If I would like, I'm able to upload some draft orders, and then the registry can potentially use them to make the order. Now, if it's by consent, you can select by consent and then just upload your proof. And if it's urgent, you can select that it's urgent. All of your grounds for why it's urgent must be provided in your grounds affidavit. So again, we've got a little bit more information if you don't know what grounds are. And as we did with my normal affidavit, when I'm entering my grounds, I just put in the deponent's name and the date and upload my same affidavit. Well, doing the same affidavit, but you should probably do a different one. If I had got to this point and I hadn't done an affidavit, I'm able to just click here and it will take me to the affidavit form to download. When I'm ready, I just click proceed. I should have said before with the affidavit, because there is no fee associated with this, it's not going to my cart. It's just going to go straight to the registry to be reviewed. Now, my submission has been lodged. Lorena will get the notification to let her know that it's been lodged. But if I go to my case, unlike the claim and the affidavit, the interlocutory application doesn't appear here. And that's because it will not appear on the case until it has been approved and listed by the registry. If it's something that just requires approval, then that will just be the step. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go back now to my cases and I'll show you through the eyes of the respondent. Sorry, I'm just jumping around a bit, I apologise. If I'm the respondent and I'm defending something or responding to something for the first time or taking over carriage of conduct of the matter, I will need to request access to the case. To do that, I just come here and proceed to fill in the form. As always, there's some instructions and you just need to complete this. You'll notice at this point that there are 4 different types of case access. If you're self-represented, you're representing a party. If you're represented, so your clients can potentially get access to their cases on Court SA, or if you're a barrister. If you're a barrister or you are briefing a barrister, they should request access this way. Please don't join barristers to your law firm organisation if you've briefed them. The reason for that is they can only have one email address, and if you use it, they can't use it for anybody else. So we ask that barristers kind of be a little standalone party, and they request access individually to each case that they would like. I'm going to say in this instance that the respondent is self-represented. Just fill in the details and proceed. I'll show you what happens if I fill in a form and leave out some fields. It's told me at the top that I haven't answered some of the questions. Because I'm using Chrome, I'm able to click on each one of these and get taken directly to the field that I need to update. It's also highlighted in red. If I was using Internet Explorer, these aren't links, they're just pieces of information. So we highly recommend that you use Chrome when using Court SA. It just lets you do a few more things. So I can go straight to here and I know that I need to fill it in because it's red. We will assume now that I have been granted access to this case. Bear in mind, if you are requesting access to a case, it will be manually reviewed. So there may be a time delay between when you request access and when you're granted. If that's going to have any issues with any timelines that you're trying to comply with, have that in the back of your mind. If it is urgent, please contact Court Services and let them know. I will lodge a defence on this case. So this is the same case that we had before, but now I'm the respondent, and I've just put this up here so that I know which one to pick. As the respondent, I'm now able to, sorry, I've already lodged defence on this one, so I'm able to do a cross-claim. So what you will do is select from your defence. And as always, there are the instructions at the top of the form. The cross-claim is done in much the same way as the defence, but just be mindful that unlike lodging over the counter, you can't do a combined defence and cross-claim. You will need to do your defence first and then lodge your cross-claim second. So I'm able to lodge my cross-claim now because I've already done my defence. So let me Just select what you're doing and fill in the form. Now, if this were the defence, which unfortunately it's not, it would just ask me to upload my Form 51S Statement of Defence Details form, and then it will generate a Form 51 and append my Form 51S in the same way as the claim. So we can go here and have a look at a defence that I have already lodged. So here, it has generated this Form 51 based on the case information. And I've uploaded my Form 51S, and it's combined the two into one document. So I can then, in the same way as my claim, print or download them and serve them on the applicant. Also notice in this case that we now have some hearings coming up. To have a look at your hearings, click the tab, and you can see your future hearings are listed at the top with the type of hearing and the location and some other options. We have a glossary in the Help Centre which defines a lot of the terminology used in Court SA, because we're aware that a lot of it might be traditionally things that only the registry saw, and now because it's online it'll be things that everybody can see. So if you're a little bit confused as to the difference between a first directions hearing or a conference, they're all defined in that glossary. I can also do some things against each particular hearing. If I would like, I'm able to download my hearing notice. So they're all found against each particular hearing. And I can see, great, there's my hearing notice with the party details and my time and date. I can also make a request for assistance. We've called this a special request. It relates to things like appearing via phone, AVL, interpreters, and anything else that you might like to do. So if you do have a need for a special request for a hearing, just do that against the hearing itself, and that request will be reviewed by the registry and you'll be contacted to let you know. You're also able to adjourn by consent, or request an adjournment by consent from here. Just click this little calendar icon, and if you're ever not sure, just hover over the icon and there'll be some guidance text. And you're able to request an adjournment by evidencing the consent. So that's future hearings. We can also have a look at past hearings. Let's imagine on this case that we've already had a hearing. You're able to see the list of past hearings on this same page. And I can tell that this particular one was rescheduled. And again, if that terminology is not something you're familiar with, please have a look in the glossary. Generally speaking, that's how a case will work. If you would like to, after any outcome or judgment orders are made, they will also be available on the case, and you will also receive a notification to let you know that they have been put there so you can access them. Okay, I've talked an awful lot. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, here we go. All right, we've got a question. I'm sorry if I missed some of these earlier. I've just seen them. Okay. Will the content you've already created be saved while you complete the statement of claim? Yes, it will. If you save your statement of claim or your online claim form and then go away and do your statement of claim, it will be saved, but it will not be automatically saved for you. So it's not one of these things that, if you're familiar with Google Docs or some of those others, that get saved for you. So just save it as you go if you'd like to keep all of your information. Okay. Is there email notifications of hearings, or do you only find out by going into the case and checking the hearings tab? You will receive a notification of hearing, so your hearing notice will be emailed again to that P code email address. Any other questions? No? All right. What's the difference between an originating process and originating process other? Thank you. That is a very good question. If we go back to the home page and you select Start a Case, you will see that there are several different options for originating application. The reason for this is that they are not, well, unlike the claim, where any type of claim is done using this one smart form, different types of originating applications are done using different smart forms. These ones that are done quite regularly, so fencing and admission, are their own standalone forms. The one that's probably best to be aware of is the difference between originating application and originating application other, as you've asked. The best way to find out the answer to that is to look at the instructions, and they will tell you what type of originating application you can do. There's quite a lot that's done with the originating application general form, I'll call it. So they're not all listed on there because it would have been a million different things. But if you click this link here, it will take you back to this, and then you can have a look. So I'm going to say that I want to start a, oh gosh, what's an option? Criminal assets. There we go, crime. Here we go. An Australian Crime Commission Act application. Well, to do that, I go to the originating application form. If I wanted to do a Corporations Act originating application, I go to the originating applications other. If you're a bit confused about which one to use, just keep coming back to this big long list and type in your particular cause of action or type of originating application, and then these instructions will let you know which one to pick. Again, because there were too many to list on the general one, if you do just want to cheat, you can just go to originating application other, where we have listed all of the ones that are used for that form. So these ones tend to be ones that generate their own documents that are a little bit different. So for example, the corporations and Warden's Court, they're not your standard Form 2 or I think it's Form 7 originating application forms. And they also tend to be the ones that have different party times, so they might have complainant rather than applicant. That's generally the division between the two. So most things will probably get done using the originating application. It might just be the odd ones that are done using this. Okay, what is the turnaround time on case access? i.e. if you receive instructions from a client to file a defence on the last day. I'm not able to comment on that at the moment, unfortunately, and part of the reason is we just don't know. We don't know what the demand and the volume of case access requests will be like. We hope after the system's been live for a couple of weeks or months, there may be some normalisation. But if you are up against a deadline, please lodge your request and contact court services to let them know so that they can expedite it.
Someone's going to issue a whole lot of applications that they didn't know about.
What happens with notifications, etc., re-P code when practitioners are no longer at the firm? If I have done all of these cases on behalf of Lorena and then she leaves, what will need to be done is someone at the firm will need to lodge a notice of acting with the court. Now, to do a notice of acting, and I should have said this is part of request case access, when you request case access, a notice of acting will be generated. So if Lorena left and Bob was taking over conduct of those cases, Bob would need to lodge a request for case access because that's going to generate the notice of acting, which will identify him as the responsible solicitor on the case. Is it possible to automatically grant access to a case to the solicitor with a P code if not lodged by them, e.g. through administrative assistant? Yes, it is. So your law firm administrator kind of sits on a tier above everybody else in the firm, and your law firm administrator can see every case that someone in your organisation has lodged or has access to. So my administrator can see the cases that I've lodged on behalf of Lorena, and she can grant those cases, she can grant Lorena access to those cases. She can't grant ones that no one in the firm has access to. Those ones have to be requested through the court. But if somebody in my firm has it, then my admin can grant it to other people in the firm. Can an unrepresented litigant get access to the P code and email, etc. of solicitors through the drop-down search function? Yes, they can. There's nothing to stop somebody from searching and putting in somebody else's name, but if they do, they're going to have to pay the lodgement fee. Can email notifications be sent to a group department email instead of an individual email? No, they can't. The emails will be sent to the P code email address. If you would like that P code email address to be something generic, you'll need to update that with the Law Society, but the system will only send emails to P code email addresses. One thing to be mindful of when requesting access to a case is you will be asked to enter either your P code or your L code. Please enter your P code because, as I said, that's going to generate the notice of acting. The request for case access is going to go to the email address associated with that P code. So if I were to request case access on behalf of Lorena, the request for case access is going to go to Lorena's email. There's a validation process that happens at this point. The account that tries to access the case with the link in the email must be the same email address as the P code email. So Lorena's account has to be set up using her P code email address. If she set up her account using her personal email address, the validation link won't work. Any more questions? These are all fantastic questions, so thank you all so much. For existing matters, have the P codes all been plugged in? For example, I've taken over a whole load of files. Does that mean I now have to request access to all of those files? Hopefully your organisation or your firm will have requested a list of all of the cases that your firm is acting on. We have then sent out those lists and you have reviewed them and then sent them back to us. For all of those existing cases, we are planning to grant you access automatically when the system launches on Monday. So if you haven't done your request for case access for your existing cases, please do as a matter of urgency. Time is running out. We've already passed the list off to the development team and they are currently doing it as part of the data migration that's going to take place. There will be a point at which case we can't automatically grant them and they will all have to be manually requested. But I think Tessa raises a very interesting point. If you are currently the responsible solicitor on a case, so the courts have your P code, you will receive notifications on those cases, even if you don't have access to them. So it might be one that you've forgotten about long ago or just slipped through the net, you will still get emails for it because the system will just automatically send out an email to the P code on each case when it's triggered. What email address do we contact for that list? Great great question, John. It's a very confusing one that I always get wrong every time, so we might just send you that link separately because it's too much. I get it wrong and I don't want to say it incorrectly. Additionally, just be mindful that say you lodge over the counter during the transition period, all of your documents will be scanned by the registry and uploaded to Court SA. So even though you might not lodge something electronically, it will be available electronically because Court SA is now the court record. So that's where all the information will be stored. So the same way, if you are acting against somebody and they might be self-represented and lodge over the counter, you will still be able to access their documents electronically. All right, we're almost out of time, but if anybody has any more questions, please feel free to ask them or alternatively send them through and we can cover them on Friday at the Q&A session. Oh, thank you, Lorena's got the email address. See, I would have got it wrong if I tried to say it. I really encourage everybody to please go to the Court SA practice site link. The data will only last 2 weeks, but have a go at it. Think of any and every question you possibly can, then email those to us and we will cover them on Friday in our Q&A session. Thank you all for coming. I hope you've got something out of this. We're going to send a survey around afterwards just to get your feedback, because we want to make sure that we are covering things that are relevant and interesting to people. If there's things that we can be doing better, please let us know. If I say so too many times, let me know as well. I'm trying to work on that. Lorena has also just put the the link for the practice site in the chat. So just go straight there. You will have to create a new account. You can't use your real Court SA account for the practice site because they're basically two different worlds and never the two shall meet. So just create a new account, lodge there, play around, sue everybody like I've been doing. And good luck. And if there's anything at all we can do, please let us know. We're here to help. Thank you all kindly. Have a lovely afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Eloise.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.